People like Courtney Dewalter really make me start to like question all the advice that you hear online. For those of you who don't know who Courtney is, she's like an absolute beast in the running community. She does all these ultra marathons, like 100 mile, 200 mile plus races, and she like wins regularly. And I haven't watched like her interview with Joe Rogan in quite a while, but like as she was just getting popular, she did an interview with Joe Rogan, and like he's trying to get like some insight on what her diet is, how she trains, recovery, and she seemed like just the most normal, like kind, average person that you probably would ever meet. Like you'd never look at her and think that she was just this absolute beast of an endurance runner. And I think that's because there's like people in the space like Goggins, Haynes, and so on who like I don't know about Haynes as much. This Cameron Haynes' thing is just like work hard and like nobody really cares about your excuses. Just keep working. But there's like this thought that to be mentally tough, you need to be like super intense and angry and dialed in and like no slack. And like Courtney Dewalter basically just blows all those expectations or all those preconceived notions of the sport out of the water, like by like 1,000%. I think Joe was trying to figure out what her diet is like, and she was basically saying that she eats like beer, hamburgers, nachos, tacos, like a super normal diet. Especially in Colorado, I'm pretty sure that they have like some really good Mexican food over there, and I think that's where she lives right now, just to like get the most of her possible trail running experience, like year round, because there's so many trails over there. But basically, her diet, some insane recovery routine. She doesn't spend all this money on like all the state of the art recovery mechanisms and like massaging leg pants and like expensive supplements. And it really makes me question my own personal training approach to the sport, and I've been trying to get better at this. um, I can't even say since learning about her, but there's just this like built-in notion in my mind that to be pushing forward and striving for success in this form of athletics, I need to be super intense and super dialed in, and my diet has to be perfect, my recovery has to be on point, I have to train at like these very specific times of the day, and I have to like do all these things that I think or that people say push you forward in the sport. Meanwhile, it seems like Courtney and other top performers in the sport just like aren't like that at all. Yeah, it's just making me think like there must be something to the mentality that she's carrying that doesn't make all these minor notes in the song, so to speak, mean everything. Like she clearly trains hard, she clearly trains consistently. She I don't know her regimen, but it seems like she trains most days, if not every day. She's definitely like getting the result that everybody wants. So, is she just an outlier, or is there something to her approach that makes her success not inevitable but attainable? Because have you ever seen those people out there in the world that they they show like they're trying, and they show like they're putting in all this effort and really working hard and giving it their all? And I said show for a reason, because that's what they're displaying outwardly. They're displaying this character that seems to be designed to make you believe that they're putting in this level of work, because how else could it be possible that otherwise, like if you don't seem tired and in pain and like you're fighting against something all the time, I bet it's probably pretty easy to think or believe that they may not be putting in the effort that they say that they're putting in. Like, obviously I don't show much of my training here on this channel yet, because I just don't have the logistics to film very well while I'm also the guy training, while I'm also the guy editing and filming these, podcast type videos. But if I showed up every single day and I just seemed like completely fresh and, didn't express how I may be sore, or I may be tired, or I may be showing you some recovery things that I'm doing to account for some of the pains that I might be feeling. If I didn't talk about any of that stuff at all, any of the struggle, you'd probably be inclined to think that I'm not actually doing the training that I'm saying that I'm doing. Meanwhile, if Courtney didn't have the results that she has, I'm sure many people would be inclined to think that her training is ineffective, when that's clearly like the opposite of the case. Now, and I hope you bear with me that I'm thinking and speaking this through, because it's really a puzzle that I think should be explored verbally a little bit. So like, her diet's not on point, her recovery processes, they seem to, I can't even say it's not on point, but it's not of the caliber that everybody teaches on the internet. Like, it's not what everybody's saying it should be. Like, last night I had beer after like my whole day was done. I walked to the store, got myself a beer to have with some TV last night, and just unwind. And it didn't 100% agree with me, but that's beside the point. Like, to feel okay to have the beer and not allow it to affect how you feel, either about yourself or even physically the next day. I think that's really where Courtney's probably like leading the pack. Like, not letting these things mentally get to her. That's probably more of a sign of mental toughness, actually. Now that, I've weaved my way around to this point. The fact that she's able to live her life, the way that she wants to, eat the things that she wants to eat, drink the things that she wants to drink, spend time with friends and family the way she wants to, and not let it affect her training approach. I think that shows that she's more mentally tough or mentally resilient than, say, some of these people where if they don't follow their routine, like they're just out to lunch. Like there's they're done. Like I'm sure there's like people that you all might know that, you know, if they don't have their morning cup of coffee, or they don't get to wake up and read, or wake up and write, or, you know, whatever it is, like their whole day is ruined, and they kind of use that as an excuse to, you know, toss the whole day in the garbage. Where I think this is the real lesson that we could probably learn from Courtney, that it's probably the most true expression of making the decision to not major in the minors. And by that I mean, like, a lot of people out there, they focus so much on the little things that they miss the big picture of what they're doing and why they're doing it. So, like, if you want to get really good at running long distances, then, you know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the best way to do that is to run long distances, and to do it for a very long time, and do it in a way that you're not injuring yourself consistently, and then just never stop. Like, I'd be really curious to ask Courtney, like, how often she's technically in the off season, and what she does in the off season. Does she just keep training like usual and continuing to add aerobic capacity to her base, or does she legitimately take time off and then start back up fresh at, like, say, any given point in time? And I'd probably have the same question for, like, other greats in their own sport, like Tadej Pogacar, however you say it. He's the recent Tour de France winner, and I guess Triple Crown. I don't think that it's that same title in cycling, but he basically, like, is now down as one of the greatest of all times in the sport. And I wonder what his diet's like, his recovery, his training, and all of that stuff. I believe Dr. Peter Attia has an interview with him that, you know, maybe I'll actually watch tonight, because, you know, there's this thing where a lot of the people that we're listening to online, they're not necessarily like the experts in their field. They're just the people with the loudest voice or the biggest platform. Like, I know people like Courtney and people like Tade obviously have, like, a following online, but, like, there's not much content around them that, say, I could find that would lead me to really be able to, and maybe, you know, they do this intentionally because they're competitors, but there's not a whole lot of content that I'd be able to find online where I can literally write out what their processes are for what they're doing. I think it's very rare that you have people who are that open with their training and their processes. The only people who are really that open with their training and their processes like that are typically coaches, or people who, like, own an online digital product, or are trying to build up a social media following, you know, so on and so forth. It's like the difference between becoming renowned and famous just for pure results, as it is for some people like this, and then renowned and famous because you develop the skill of marketing and growth in your own life so that you can build yourself up to the point where you can be an expert. And that's kind of the path that, like, say, a normal person would have to take who's not like a Tour de France winner, or I guess Courtney technically won the Triple Crown of endurance running too. So Um, yeah, without being like super famous, just because of your years of dedication in the sport. Um, you don't tend to see people coming up from like the bottom. Like even me right now, like you guys aren't seeing me year one of Ironman training. You're catching me at year 5 when like I made all my mistakes, or I made a lot of my mistakes. I found good coaches who I like to work with. I've written and developed like my own training plans where I can leverage some of my expertise and then what I've learned from, say, the coaches that I've worked with and the other people in the field that I've spoken with. Like you're really catching me at like if this is the beginning, you're catching me here. If like the end point is like outside my wall. But I'm sure like like when we catch these athletes and public figures, we're catching them like at their end point. Like I bet Courtney's probably like near retirement from like competitive racing, and then like Tade, I don't know how many years of, I don't know how long can you even compete as a cyclist. I guess that guy Kavanaugh, if I'm remembering right, he's pretty old for the sport, and I think this was his last tour. Cavendish, whatever. So this was a long-winded podcast, and just like weaving in and out, but like my takeaway here is again, there's people like Courtney Dewalter that really make me question if what we're learning out there on social media and on the internet, as far as how to approach your training, is the actual right way. Like, there's a whole sect of people that say, like, if I were to, say, have a beer tonight or last night, that, like, I'm sabotaging my growth, I'm working against myself, and I'm gonna lose to somebody who's not doing that. Meanwhile, you have a figure like Courtney Dewalter, who obviously trains hard and does the right things for herself and her sport, and then also continues to have, say, a mediocre diet with occasional alcohol in the form of beer, it sounds, and she's winning, and she's beating those people who are saying those things that's become a popular message on social media. Not just winning, but like demolishing. And that's crazy. That's crazy to me. By the way, this isn't like a message of condoning alcohol use or anything like that, but again, it's questioning the messages that you're hearing out in the world, in the ether, and questioning the popular messages that get pushed to the top, and thinking about things a little bit more deeply by analyzing some of the greats in the field rather than whatever gets propagated the most, like whatever the coolest message is. Like, I like Goggins a lot. I have a lot of respect for him, and his message is amazing. Definitely resonates with me and a lot of other people out there in the world. But I understand the journey that he's on, and his is a journey of like self mastery over his own mind and putting himself in situations that he doesn't like and is uncomfortable to get to those deepest parts of his mind so he can learn more about himself and grow. And he seems to be a very smart person in that regard. But like watching Courtney, I wonder if there's a way to achieve the same end result without quite as much mental anguish. And is that the wise approach? Is the wise approach to find a way to love and enjoy what you're doing rather than to approach things from the mentality like, this sucks, I hate this, but I'm gonna do it anyway, and I'm gonna do more of it because it sucks and I hate this? Well, I don't think I have to answer that question tonight, but this was this was a long one. This was a good one. 22 minutes in, or 21:30, so not too bad. I'll probably cut some of the gaps out of here, unless it's probably better to just leave them in, but I know that the beginning of this was all over the place, so maybe I'll listen to this once and just do the YouTube thing and cut out the fluff. But anyway, thanks for listening. Let me know what your thoughts are on this, because it's a thought-provoking topic. It's something that I'm trying to apply to other areas of my life, not just my training. And just before I end this, one other quick thing. Like, I've been trying to take this lighter approach lately, and I'm still hitting my training. I feel less fatigued. My results are the same. It's giving me the impression that I can push farther and do more. I actually just PR'd the other weekend, despite this different approach. I am less tired all the time, and I don't hate training. Like, today was a 7-mile run, and I don't hate getting out there and putting my miles in for however long that takes me, even on like a light and easy day, which is going to be slow, so more time. So these are the effects that I'm feeling right now, by by taking it maybe a little bit easier mentally and giving myself the I guess what I'm doing is I'm giving myself a more long-term vision rather than a super short-term limited window. If I keep at it and keep putting my best foot forward and keep seeking mastery in the sport, then over time I'm going to continue to grow, however fast, however slow. And that's okay with me. I'm okay with just a steady growth over time so that I can look back in 3 to 5 years and be surprised with my growth and how far I've come. So I think that's my real vision now. Much more long term, much less anxious about my results and the work that I'm putting in and whether or not I'm going to hit a certain time. That's where I'm landing now. Okay, now it's the end of the video. Alright, let me know if you like this. Let me know if you like the longer duration. Even if you don't like it, I'll probably keep doing this longer duration from time to time just to challenge myself to keep thinking and keep speaking and just getting my thoughts out there. Because, you know, the more I do this, the more concrete these thoughts are going to start to become. And over the next, say, year of even me doing this, similar approach to my training, by the way, over the next year, 2 years of speaking to the camera, speaking to you guys like this and getting my thoughts to land better, I'm going to continue to improve and get better at this craft and be able to provide more value. So that's also the goal here. All right, have a good night, everybody. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. Hope you got out there for some miles, and I'll see you next time.